Hey, good morning. Let's talk about the history of Fanta real quick, but first, we've got to set the stage. It's the 1850s, and America First is a slogan used by the Native American Party. Now, the Native American Party had nothing to do with Native Americans. It was just a bunch of racist, xenophobic, white Protestants who were afraid that Catholics were coming to this country to destroy it and steal their precious Protestant jobs. Sound familiar? So in 1855, they dropped the Native and just continued on as the American Party. And when people would ask them about their xenophobic views, they would respond with, "I know nothing. I know nothing." And so they were known as the Know Nothing Party. Well, in 1857, Supreme Court Chief Justice Roger Taney ruled in favor of keeping slavery as a way of life when he ruled in Scott v. Sanford that black people, whether free or enslaved, cannot become citizens of this country because originally we were worth nothing more than a handkerchief or a useful tool for white people to use, and that the Negro has no rights that the white man is bound to respect. Needless to say, that ruling literally split the country in half, with the southern part of the United States of America seceding and forming its own country known as the United States of the Confederate, with the northern half of the country going on as the United States of America. And that is how we ended up with the Civil War. Fast forward to January 1st of 1865 and you get the 13th Amendment, which ended slavery as a way of life but allowed it to continue as a form of punishment for anyone convicted of a crime. Now, the Civil War ended in April of 1865 when Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered to the North. Reconstruction began, and then Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. And also in April of 1865, Confederate General John Pemberton was wounded when he was stabbed in the chest. Now, that particular Confederate general, John Pemberton, was also a doctor, and he was prescribing himself morphine and other opiates, and eventually he got addicted to those opiates, and he was looking for a way to wean himself off of it. So in 1866, he began to experiment with various painkillers, trying to come up with a morphine-free alternative. The first recipe he came up with was called Dr. Tuggle's Compound of Globe Flower, which had toxic buttonbush in it. He then went on to experiment with the coca plant, making coca wine from it, with alcohol in it. Then he added the cola nut in it. He came up with Pemberton's French wine coca, which he said could cure alcoholism, depression, and even prevent Southern women from being so daggum high-strung. Now, fast forward to 1886, and the temperance movement or anti-alcohol movement was running rampant throughout Fulton County, Georgia. And John Pemberton was like, I can't sell my fine coca wine anymore because it's got alcohol in it. So what I'll do is replace the alcohol with carbonated water, and we'll create a soda out of it. And that's how he ended up with Coca-Cola. And eventually, the cocaine was taken out of the drink, and it became one of America's most favorite drinks. That's right. Coca-Cola was invented by a drug-addicted racist who fought for the rights to keep black people enslaved forever. Now, fast forward to the 19-teens and 20s, and fascism is running rampant throughout Europe and quickly sprinting its way across the United States of America. It's starting to rain, Jesus. And Woodrow Wilson, a man who believes the Klan is coming to cleanse the land and protect white women from Negroes and prevent those Negroes from stealing our white jobs. Sounds familiar? He's running for president on the slogan, America First. And by the 1920s and 30s, fascism is about as American as apple pie. And when people referred to America First, they were like, well, what's that? And they said, well, it's what's going on in Italy and Germany, but in America. And by the 1930s, Nazi summer camps were popping up all across America, with Coca-Cola being the drink of choice to cool them off during the hot summer months. Not only was Coca-Cola popular here in the United States of America, it was also very popular in Nazi Germany, so much so that Coca-Cola opened up a plant in Germany called Coca-Cola Deutschland. By 1940, after perfecting their methods of killing the Herero and Nama people in Namibia, Germany started killing the Romani, little people, disabled people, and Jewish people. And Coca-Cola in the United States were like, I don't know if we want to be a part of that. So the United States passed an embargo against Germany. And Coca-Cola couldn't send them their syrup anymore. So the German Coca-Cola bottling company had to come up with a way to create their own syrup. So German plant manager Max Keith was looking for a way to keep the company going. He created fruit-flavored beverages by using apple pieces and whey from leftover cheese-making process, which actually became quite popular in Germany. And as this drink began to grow in popularity, he was like, yo, we need to come up with a name for this because this is popular. So he called a meeting and gathered all of his troops together and was like, yo, look, I need you to come up with a fantastic name for this new drink we got. Use your wildest imagination and come up with something good. And one guy was like, well, why don't we just call it Fanta? You know, that's their word for imagination. And he was like, you know what? I like the sound of that. And that's how Fanta was born. Now, I know I missed some things here and there as I sped through the history of Fanta real quick because it's raining and I got to go to work now. So I'm going to ask my sister, cousin, friend to come on in here and tell us the true history of Fanta. Hey, Dara, come on in here and tell us about the history of Fanta real quick.